Bing.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Sorry. I keep forgetting it. I think Kajal, it's good evening. So for me, it's first thing Monday morning. So it's ugh. Not sure if Arunima is going to make it today. Let me just check. She sent me something on LinkedIn. I think she might be at graduation, but I'll just check.
She's in the meeting. I can see her.
Oh, she just joined. Oh, good. Perfect. First, I just want to thank everybody for those kind words on LinkedIn. That was like quite very humbling for me. So
Hey,
thank
Bobby,
you.
can you hear me?
Yes. I was just thanking
Thank you
you
so much,
for
Bobby,
those.
for guiding us so well throughout the program.
Actually, you're coming in kind of quick.
Is it good now?
It's still a little choppy, but understandable.
Can you hear now?
Hello everyone.
Yes. Hi, Gianluca. Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry, sorry for the delay. I'm connected now.
Oh, no worries. We're all getting started a little slow on this Monday morning for me.
Sorry. Did
Oh,
I lose something?
excuse me?
I missed something.
No, we haven't started yet.
Okay, thank you.
I just typed the date. Okay, so everybody here obviously is part of the team, so I don't need to go over the antitrust policy or the code of conduct because you've all seen it before. So I think we should just get right into it. So Agnes got a full-time job. Clap for her. Very nice work. But she can no longer be part of the team because she's working during the hours we meet and do presentations, and she's going to be very tied up. So between Arunima and myself, we'll kind of pick up her section, which was user guides, I believe, which is good because one of the things that Robert Reeves from the Linux Foundation wanted us to do was really work on user guides so that the rest of the Linux Foundation, as well as the Hyperledger Foundation, can use AI to make consistent user guides. And what does that look like? How do you do that? So everything that all the other committees have to work on need user guides. So Arunima and I will be kind of threading through all of your work to create that user guide / library that we're going to present at the end. So if anybody has anything else to say, I'm just going to jump into the presentation slide so that we can work on what they need to. And Arunima is going to be communicating with us through text because she's having problems with her microphone, which is fine because I can read the text, have all my screens today, so I'm good to go. I'm sitting in my office instead of somewhere else where I've been all summer, so it's been very difficult for me, but I can see your chat, Arunima, so you're good. Let me pull up the PowerPoint on the wrong slide. Just move this over. I can get my dog before she barks. Come here, Lucy. Okay. So again, if anybody wants to edit any part of this, it's a shared document on our wiki page. Go in and edit it. I mean, I just threw this together trying to steal graphics from the team from the Hyperledger website, and this one has the Hyperledger Foundation. So if you see this slide anywhere else in the presentation, you can be sure I put a box over Hyperledger Foundation so that I could use it. That's how bad I am at graphics. If you have any desire to make this look better, knock yourself out. So we have these slides which have to be here. And this is just kind of like, that's just for our template holder. This is the slide that will be when we introduce ourselves. Now, the only thing that I haven't a little confusion with is if we're going to go with that storyline through Arunima weaving it through her summer vacation, and these are the people I met, which I think is great. We're not going to do the usual then introductions at the beginning, and we're not, or we shouldn't introduce ourselves during the conversational storytelling part. But after, I think we should have a wrap-up slide where Arunima might say, if anybody has any more questions about any of these, you can ask Gianluca, and at that point we can give Gianluca's credentials, and then say, so that we can definitely at the end get your credentials and who you are and how to contact you out there. But I feel, and show a show of hands if you agree with me, that if we introduce ourselves in the beginning, it's going to ruin that whole story that we're going to weave for everybody. So if you like the story and the introduction at the end, thumbs up if you can get to your reactions. Or if you think we should introduce in the beginning and then jump into the story with us. Yeah, good. So far 2 people like the idea. Kajal, Gianluca, what do you think?
Yeah, we can also start with the introduction if other people agree. I don't know.
You mean at the
For me,
beginning, do who we are and then start the story?
Yeah. Actually, for me, it's the same. It's the same. Yeah. If Victoria or Arunima wants to delay the introduction, for me, is the same.
Yeah, I kind of
So-
like the idea of putting them at the end only because then maybe people will remember more. I mean, once they're hooked on our
Mhm.
story and then they see who we are, that's just one way. But if anybody has any objections and wants the introductions up front, raise your hand now and we'll talk about it. If not, we're just going to go with Arunima's story about how she spent her summer vacation and the people she met along the way. And then at the end, do slides for each one of you guys with your credentials and your information. Yeah, okay, that's good. We'll do that then. So let me expand this so we can all see it. So these slides are just the regular ones. And then Arunima, this slide again is yours for the agenda. If you want to leave out or introduce everyone, this is going to be, I'm going to change this because she can't make it. It's going to be, oh, sorry, I spelled it wrong. We'll just leave that for there. This needs to be added to my dictionary. Okay. So again, Arunima, that's up to you how you want to pick this apart. So when we move into, again, this is just Arunima, if you want to work on this one this week, or I can work on this one. I want less words. I mean, all of this should kind of be in the notes and what you're saying, and just kind of like maybe just I get rid of this stuff. I'm just showing you just for an example. And have just the bullet points come out. I know there were 5 of them and I only have 2 here, but just have develop comprehensive, consistent documentation and say what that means for us, and then go into the next one. Okay, good. I'm glad you got it. That's perfect. So let me just undo these so the information is still there. Yeah, so that would be, and just pull out the main points of this slide and see what happens. And I don't know if you want to combine these 2, but this is basically, one was what we were trying to achieve with our objectives, and the other was, our goals, and then what we kind of hope the objectives to this turned out to be. And then you can add a slide about, again, I don't know if you want to put this at the beginning or the end and just jump right into the story. We can see how that flows in the next 3 weeks. I was at the TOC meeting this week or last week, and they have presenters for the next 2 meetings. So I'm going to hop on the next time, which might put us the middle of September, middle of September, probably around the 10th. I'm thinking, or probably, I don't think that's 11th, probably is a Monday, or whatever. So we'll work on how to set up our first presentation to the TOC. And I'll talk about today, what should be in the program for it. And Arunima just texted that she's going to work on the flow, which is good, because I think all of these points are important. Why we're doing the documentation standards as well. And again, this is all stuff we know. So, Arunima, the anchor, where's Gianluca? So Gianluca, what support do you need from us to get, did I put this somewhere? Wait, let me just see something here.
Yeah, I have just one question about the next step, because now I finished a course on GitHub. I read the documentation, also the wiki page that you shared the last time. But I'm thinking about the next step to produce something to write something for receive feedback also from other people who wants to who expect something for us, which could be the next step for me.
Okay, so the next step, I believe for you would be to just get down. All right, now I'm going to pull this over. So the basic information for what you have to do in this slide is dealing with the GitHub repositories that the maintainers make and supporting that effort. So I was looking through the GitHub stuff from the TOC and I found, what am I doing? I'm going here. So on the wiki page, if you do that grid to the left, you can get right to GitHub. And in GitHub are already maintainers guidelines. They're just dispersed all over the place. You have to spend so much time searching. And again, I'm not really sure. And Arunima, if you have any ideas as to where this library should start to be housed, or I have to say, I believe it was Kajal, I am addicted to Whimsical. I do everything on it now. So it's unbelievable for me. I mean, if we want to start putting the library stuff on a Whimsical page, just so that we can see how it's going to look, I'm all for that because I love working with that software program. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So in the GitHub repositories, where's the TOC?
If you scroll down, I think there is a.
So in the TOC repository, I believe there is here we go. So in here are all the flow for a maintainer for a GitHub repository, but it's hard to find. So if you go over the governing documents, and again, the best way to do it, Gianluca, is to go through the life cycle, because that's how a project starts. So Carter, like Central, there we go. So for a proposal, here's the proposal template. That's what I was looking for. So somehow, like, this is a lot of information. If I'm a maintainer, okay, so now, for instance, I am going to be a maintainer in the next year or so because I'm going to bring the Giving Chain project to Hyperledger formally. I'm working on funding now, and once I get funding, I'm going to hire, probably you guys, people to help me bring the Giving Chain. I've incorporated it as a nonprofit last month. And I've got the paperwork. So I have all my federal numbers, my corporation papers are all done and everything. So now I can actually collect funds. So once I get funds and hire some developers, the first thing I'm going to do is create a lab. Well, I've been in Hyperledger community for 7 years now. I know how to do that. But if I was someone who didn't know how to do that, where would I go? So the first place would be where I just did. Now, how is somebody who is not part of the community know to go to the wiki page, to get to the GitHub page, to get to the TOC page, to get to the Hyperledger project process? They don't know that. So what, Gianluca, the first step of what you have to do is make that onboarding process. And again, onboarding, I'm sure Aunt Concha has some ideas on this. But here's a lot of information. So where's the GitHub?
Yes, I read
This
some.
here we go. Fork this repository. That's the
Okay.
first thing they have to do. It took me 10 clicks to find that. And I know what I'm doing. So that's all I'm saying. So this is the first step for someone would be to clone or fork this repository.
Mhm.
So how can we make what I just did easier for someone coming into the community?
Okay.
So what do you think, Gianluca? How would you, I mean, again, we can use, let me get to Whimsical over here. We can use a Whimsical page where you can just keep all your notes, or you can keep your notes in a Google Doc or whatever. But I'm assuming at the end of your research for this, to make this part easier,
Mhm.
you will go to the presentation and maybe change these buttons. Maybe when you walk through the process or read, I'm not asking you to actually create a GitHub lab, but when you mentally walk through the process of creating and maintaining a project at Hyperledger, what would these buttons be? And these were just my guess. So right now we're on the proposal button. So if we go to the proposal, it's a lab, and I put the guidelines here, the link to the guidelines here. And we haven't really talked about user guides, but once you're done, you're probably going to say to me and Arunima, all right, now I need a user guide for this. These are the steps, or you can do the user guide yourself. We're using Pictory or whatever user guide. We'll come up with one. Arunima, I don't know if we've picked on one for the user guides. And create a template for it. I can work on that this week if you want, with either Pictory or Pictory.io or whatever program we're going to use. I can create the Hyperledger template, and then when anyone is doing work on it, they just pick that template and run their outline through it, and you should have the user guides. That's the end goal for user guides. But getting back to Gianluca and the labs, so you would go through the guidelines and the steps on how to create. So instead of going to the wiki page, to the GitHub page, to the TOC page, to the TOC page on LifeSpread, you would just go right here and say, here are the steps. Here's the repository you clone. Here's what you change, and then you bring it to the TOC. Boom, step one is done. That's the proposal part. And then there's another, did I get the graduated? Yeah, here's the other one. So I put the other one on here, and you can, like, if you have trouble finding any of these things, I can help you. But the TOC governing document for incubation exit, that's the document that will tell you, okay, so now you have this lab and you've been working on it, and the TOC approved it after, that's how it got into incubation. And now you've been working on it. You have some maintainers, the project's going nicely. You're ready to get more Hyperledger support. You need security issues, you need licensing issues, and Hyperledger needs to start throwing resources at you. So the first resource we give you is the ability to have a GitHub repository lab. That's like a freebie. Go ahead, have a lab, we'll approve it, you work on it. Then once you have a lot of interest in that lab and things moving in that lab, Hyperledger wants to give you more resources to work with, more community exposure, some of the paid tooling processes. And so that stuff is all in this part. Let's see if we can get that. Do you have any questions, Gianluca? Interrupt me at any time.
No, now it's quite clear. Just if I can have support during this week, because I'd like
Absolutely.
to.
And I want to set up a meeting between you, me, and Tracy, because she's usually the one who created all of these. And she will be, when we come up with something, and say, Tracy, are we on the right direction? And she can, so I can set that up for Friday if you want.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that did not come through. What happened? Why did that not work? Huh. Let me see if I can find that in that. But basically, this is where you will find I'm
I
not
read
sure what
this,
I'm looking
this
at. Hold on a second.
yes, I found this morning that document, so I know it.
Okay, so, and then, again, getting back to the, not getting lost in this, this thing here. So basically, and again, I will support you in every way. Let's just start with the first one. Oh, good luck on your test. She left already. Sorry, I didn't read that. So Akasha's not here for the rest of this. Let's just work this week on the first one. Let's try to get a document together that incorporates the link for a GitHub blank repository that has to be forked, directions on how to fork it, and directions on how to change it. And then when we have that done, we'll meet with Tracy and say, is this what you have in mind? And she'll say yes, and she'll say, and then for graduated, it looks like this, and she'll give us resources. So I gotta start writing down my to-dos before I forget to do them. So Friday, we'll have a meeting with Tracy, if that's good with you, Gianluca.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And then just try to work on that first proposal. So if you have, again, like the giving chains coming in, I'm going to fork that repository. I'm going to put the giving chain name there. I'm going to put me down as a maintainer. It's probably going to get accepted as a lab, but it's not going to get accepted into a incubation until I have more maintainers from different companies. I know that that's what they look for. So if it's just me coming with a project and it's in labs, that's fine, but they're not going to start putting resources and security and paid tooling policies on me until I have more than just me and a bigger community. So that's the proposal part of it, and just work on that one. And we'll see where we get to on Friday. Again, I'm here if you need to just, reach out for me for LinkedIn. I get back right away. Well, as right away as I can. And we'll work on the rest of them later. But once you have the first one down, the flow of these should be really easy because all the templates are already there. It's just a matter of getting it into a document for maintainers as a user guide with the correct information. Do you have any other questions?
No, thanks.
Okay.
No, thanks.
Again, I'm here all week. So we're going to move on to the next one, which is make the docs. And Kapoor's not here. And this is very important. And again, I had trouble with the link. It had to be mailed to me. And for some reason, I couldn't find the link that they sent to me specifically. And I tried to find it on YouTube and I couldn't. So I missed the mentee meeting. This is probably going to be important to the mentees. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arunima, because I know you were at the meeting. Were there any takeaways from that we should know? How can we support the mentees? The make the docs would be helpful for them. So can you shoot Kapoor email and ask if she has any ideas on how to introduce this to the mentees? Because that will also formulate for her what this looks like. If she can actually get the use case out of a mentee for this presentation, that would be awesome. So if you could just reach out to her and ask her if she could start thinking about the flow of this, make the docs, and get it into, and get it into a nice, they have a Discord channel for the mentees, and get it into a nice user guide or flow like Gianluca's doing for the proposal part. And so that we could revisit this and see if it's ready to bring to the mentees. To say, here's what we want you to do with your GitHub repositories to make documentation. And then we'll give them some guidelines. That would be great. And if she needs help with that, just have her reach out this week. If we want, we can reconvene again anytime to reach out and talk about it. Because this is really the work of the group this next few weeks until we present to the TOC. Is getting this presentation full of information that's easy and usable. So then Pujal's here, the template marshal. How's how's things going?
Hello, Bobby. It's going very well. Like I have explored various AI tools. Like I was working on Figma last week. So in the continuation of that, I explored like various Figma AI design tools, and I would really like to like show you those tools. But like
Oh,
before
please
that,
do.
I have yes, like I have yeah, I'm sharing. Screen.
Because I'm telling you, I am addicted to Whimsical. Like, absolutely addicted. I love that software program. Thank you so much for introducing it.
Actually, that was Tripur. She
Oh, sorry.
introduces.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought it was you with the templates, but go ahead. Show me what you've been working
Yeah,
on.
sure. Okay. So like
You use Figma. It's the same kind of thing as Whimsical.
yes, actually in Figma we have a board, Jamboard, which is like I would introduce that to you. This is the Jamboard, and here we have like we can like do these things with our like the problem statement or whatever thing, whatever intuition we have. Like we can ideate like quick question, teach me about, give me rabbit hole. Like we can go in depth about the ideation, and these like we can also code this up. And this is like I have created some like demos for you. I have asked a question to the Jamboard, like how can you use FigJam AI like Jamboard tools in documentation. So like I've asked, and it just answered us like how can we use the Figma AI tool in our documentation template. And like this is all what he told. And if we want, we can like go in detail and do the rabbit hole thing. Like here, I have asked about the documentation template. Like I was understanding what is white paper documentation template. So like it told me like what does white paper documentation include, and how can we like make it more appealing, and what things we need to add it. And then I like went in rabbit hole. Like then I can ask any question, like what I can put the like table of content in a white paper. So like it will just let me know like what are there in the white paper. And like if I want to know like step by step instruction or any checklist I need to include in the template, then it would let me know like how to do this, and then we can go in more depth. And this is like the ideation part. Like I like asked it like how we can use the white paper documentation template. Like I asked the board to ideate. So like it gives me some user cases like interactive white paper template with embedded multimedia element for more engaging reader experience. Or like it also give me use cases like for different industries like technology, healthcare, finance, like the unique sector. And it also like tells we can use that allow multiple author to work together in real time. So like it told us the use cases. It can like help us in the user guide thing. So this is like I did then rabbit hole, and then like we can use the case studies like case study illustrating real world examples. So it would like this is uh, it would like let us know like how we can use the white paper templates in the real world. Like there it gave us example if technology company could showcase a case study of how their interactive white paper helped increase customer engagement and understand their complex software solution. So like this is the demo. And also we can also like write ask the Jamboard to write a code for us. Like I just
Are
gave him
you
a
kidding
prompt.
me?
No, like it's just like it has been introduced a few weeks ago, so it's very new. And like it would it would really help us in like
My mouth is
creating
wide
these
open right now looking at
documentation.
this.
I was also like this when I explored this tool.
Like, are you
So
kidding me? Why did I go to college again?
so like we can also use this to code up, and this is like we can use to summarize a point in bullet point, or like in short, and then we can like
Too long, didn't read.
yeah. So like I was understanding the template thing through this only, and I just like got to know a lot about what I have to like how I have to proceed in the documentation templates. But like I still have some questions. Can
Okay,
I ask?
if I can answer them, I will answer them.
Yeah, like it's related to project only. So hope my screen is visible. So I went through the use cases. The use cases. Wait a minute. Yep. The use cases template, and I didn't understand like what is this about, because we have the use cases categories. There are many categories, and then they
Okay,
have
I'll
a
tell you what
template.
this is about. I created this page about, or this section years ago, and it was because there were so many use cases that we weren't getting out to the public. So I had a task force create a use case by sector page, and we tried to scour the community and organize use cases. So I put out this template for the community for the wiki. If you scroll down a little bit to back to the main page we were just on. So if you'll scroll down a little bit, I had asked the community if you wanted to do a use case to use that format that you just drove
Yes.
past. So it was, what is your challenge? What's your name of your use case? What's the technology you use? What was your challenge? How did you approach it? And then what was your results? And if there were any links. So that's what we tried to keep all the use cases in that format. And then we tried to propagate that grid with, and I think the only one that actually was up and running was this, I think the supply chain for Walmart was perfect. So if you click on supply chain, there might be one for Walmart in there. But again, I would, for the templates, you are basically looking at, now that you've read the use case stuff, this is very rudimental for what, you know, a use case information should have. But it should still has all this information included. So what do you think a use case should have in a template? And then where would that template be for people in the community to grab and use? And do you think it has to be different for different sectors? That's completely up to you to decide. Did that answer your
Actually,
question a little?
yeah. I think we can use the star method to create the use case template. It's like that only, like the situation and the task, and then what was our approach and the result.
Exactly. And then any links, that would be great.
Yes.
But again, this is not really template ready. It's just on the wiki page.
Yes. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, that I did
Yeah.
that just to try to get people to be consistent in use cases. And if you want examples, I think the new website just propagated with all brand new use cases.
Yes. I went through that.
You know, so whatever
Okay.
template you did, it might be fun to see if you could find an AI engine to run it through to see what they come up with.
Okay, I got it.
Or using AI in this process in your presentation would be great.
Yeah, I would.
And then creating, again, that's the big thing, is creating this library where all this stuff is going to live. So there'd be, you know, like you saw, try to organize it in that grid that's on the screen right now for information technology, ticketing, voting, you know, that kind of thing. We tried to get
Yes.
your use cases so that if you're interested in a real estate use case, it's one click
Okay.
away.
Okay. Are there any other use cases we need to add? Like, I guess this is very old.
Yes, it's
So
about
do
whatever
we
you
have
think. What, like, I would use the categories based on what you see on the categories on the website.
Okay. Okay.
You know, they'll probably be similar to these categories or these industry. This is more industry specific. Because I always felt that people who were interested in use cases were trying to find something similar to what they're doing now. You know, so they're not going to look for a use case and letter of credits if they're in green management, you know. It's kind of anyway, so
Yes,
that
right.
would be more, again, up to your discretion how you think categories should go for use cases. But more importantly, getting a template and a way for people in the community to find the template and use it properly would be great. I mean, again, so I have a use case. I've been working with the supply chain people over in trade finance, and we're working on the giving chain actually, and we're trying to do donation management. So that would be social impact. How is blockchain affecting social impact? That's, you know, not on there on the list, but it is a big use case happening for blockchain and Hyperledger as well. So again, you know, I would let the Hyperledger staff guide you in what use cases are out there from the website.
Yes.
And then just the user, you're up to you. So again, this, I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind, if you're
Okay.
finished.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. You can.
Okay, let me share my screen. So again, however many slides, or where were we? Were templates. For how many, you know, slides you think this is going to be, add them in after here, your section, I think you're section 3. I don't know what happened to section 4. I'll have to renumber these. But this is your section. Add as many slides or as many, you know, as you think you need to show us how to, you know, do the templates, use the templates, whether they're white paper templates, use case templates. And again, you don't have to organize the template library at this particular moment. Down the road, you know, that's something that might be interesting. But just for your examples, I would again suggest use something that the Hyperledger community just put out on the website.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No.
Oh, and thank you
Thank
again
you.
for all your hard work. You guys are being amazing. It's like incredible.
Thank you.
And then this is Agnes, and she can't make it anymore. So I and Arunima will take over this. And this I kind of think weaves through everybody's section, committee section. So that it's kind of good that we'll be on top of all of these. How we're going to do this, I don't know. If anybody wants to help out with suggestions, add a slide. These slides don't have to be production ready. They can just be placeholders for your information for our next meeting. So don't think that these have to be ready to be presented. These can just be places where we're holding and organizing this stuff. So if next week I come here and there's like a template here that somebody added, or a new slide that says, if people add to this slide for user guides, what's your favorite AI tool to take either a GitHub or a big document and make it into a readable step-by-step user guide? List them here. I'd appreciate it. I'll check back and see and try to run some of the user guides through whatever programs we come up with. I'm going to try to start with Pictory AI, only because I have an account there. So we'll see how that works. Because again, these are going to be the recommendations that we give to that Linux Foundation guy, saying Hyperledger is going to use this AI program for their user guides. And again, there's also more AI information that we have to delve out of this, but that would just be for the user guides. And again, I'll be on top of that section. Again, that's one of the user guides I thought that we would need. And I'm going to list, and if you've come up with any, just slap them on this page, and we'll figure out what they need to look like. Victoria, what's up? how's best practices going? Were you able to attend that meeting last Friday?
I wasn't able to join the meeting on Friday, but I've been working on getting the best practices for the community, trying to use AI as instructed to get more best practices for particularly open source projects. So yeah, but I think what I'll need to work on this week is how to use AI to actually give badges. I don't know how to put it, but from what I understand from the last time we spoke, like to use AI to tokenize or actually give badging for best practices. So that's what I'm working with.
Maybe a good place to run it through would be, let me share my screen real quick again. What is really, really rock solid. Are you seeing the presentation screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What's really rock solid is this one, and I know this link is bad, but there is a great document on best practices to get out of incubation into a graduated project, because it's really quite specific that they list in the GitHub repository for that. And this link should have worked. I don't know why this link should have worked, but it's exit strategy from incubation to graduation. And there they say, in order to graduate, you have to have this. Well, boom, there's one of the things for your best practice, check marks to get the badge. You have to have your security, check. You have to have your documentation, check. So maybe you want to look at that document and use that as your example. That's just a suggestion. You don't have to listen to it, but that might be a good place to.
I think you should move the GitHub requirements in the link. I think that's where the 404 is coming from.
Move the GitHub requirements where?
This link that is giving a 404. No, the link up here, just move the GitHub at the end. I think it's going to work when I take note of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got it. I see what you're saying. I didn't look at it clear enough. Yeah, so somehow incorporate this into checks or badges or whatever, but thank you for that. Yeah, this is where the information is. So you're on top of it. I don't have to probably tell you. Do you have any questions though?
for now I don't.
I can help you with?
For now, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, so that was best practices, and we're going to work on that one this week. Mushir has a question. Please.
Hello, Bobby. Hi.
Hello.
Actually, I'm one of the mentors of the Bevel redesign program, and I needed help from the documentation task force team. Since currently in the program, I was working to redesign the theme and wanted options like if there are Hyperledger predefined themes that I can use, or we can go through any other ones.
So let me just make sure I have your question correct. You are in the mentorship program and you need to take a GitHub repository and make the docs?
No, the docs are already there, hosted on Read the Docs, but we need to redesign it. Like we need to go with a much better theme and maybe with some more good libraries where we can, like for example, if there are diagrams in the document, maybe we could link that diagrams to draw.io directly, so that if any end user or anyone who's trying the documentation, he can directly go to that Read the Docs and libraries like these. So it's basically redesigning the existing documentation.
Okay, we are definitely working on that. I can have some time at our next meeting to go through this with you. If that helps, could you just send either me or Arunima to the chat a summary
Yeah.
of what you're looking for, and then we will definitely go through it next week with you.
Yeah, actually, I already had a talk with Kajal like a month back, but since I was also busy with task and working on it, so I was not able to continue on it. But after I had my meeting with the bevel maintainers, like they asked that if you could work with the documentation team and maybe there would be something predefined which we can use. So I am in contact with Kajal too.
Perfect. Yes, she'd be the one, and she would definitely be the one to work with. And any help I can give, just please reach out to me and I will meet with Kajal and we will work on it. And welcome to our call. Gianluca, you have your hand up?
Yes, just a question. Could you share the link about GitHub template just now when you replied
Sure, it was
me?
the link I was trying to share with you when we were talking, but I had some extra, let me share my screen real quick. I had some extra information on the end of the link, so it didn't work. So it should work now. So it's the link on the graduated page on the shared document. I'll put it in the chat just for, damn it. I'll put it in the chat so you have it real fresh. And it does work now. We checked.
Okay.
So let
Okay,
me
thank
drop
you.
that in the chat. Yeah, so that would be the next step, Gianluca. That would be once you're in incubation, getting out to graduated. What do you need in your GitHub repository? So that's a great place, great place to look. Excellent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, this is moving along quickly. Okay, so then where were we? We were. Okay, so basically onboarding. And Kasha can't be here today because she's taking an exam, but she's going to help us put all our information in the right spots in the community so that people can get it. And you know me, my two clicks away. So that's the onboarding. And she again is taking an exam, so she can't be here. And then sorry. AI and Documentation Committee. So this is the group of us. All through everything we're doing, we should be trying to mention AI tools or experimenting with new AI tools. So that would be something that we should work on, adding anything you want to, where was I? Adding any kind of AI things, even if it doesn't touch our buckets, our committees. If you find an AI tool that puts links on everything and scours every documentation and picks out search words for like frequently asked questions, that's something we need. We still need to do, once we get all this in, something for frequently asked questions off of our library information. So keep that in the back of your mind as we're working the next week. What does those AI tools look like? And if you come up with any, just drop them in this slide. Again, this is shared on our wiki page. I don't think this is shared. This is the one that's on my, hard drive. So the one that's shared, I will update to what we just fixed during this call. And it is available to everyone. Let's just go show everyone that link. So again, use this. It is not present ready. This is just storing our ideas. This is our ideation presentation, let's say. And the link is somewhere. Yes, blogs. Where the hell is the link? I put it in the chat. So the link to the shared presentation, which I want everybody to edit and put their information on so that our next call, we just go through the slides and you'll present right from the slideshow. So let me just fix. Yeah, so this is the updated one. Sorry, I had the wrong one on the screen. I want to fix that link for Gianluca, which is on this slide, I think. Yeah. So that link is fixed. So it's on the page, Gianluca, for you. Again, and then this presentation we'll go over next week. I will send a link, Gianluca, to a call with Tracy. when I get on it. And I will also be looking for AI tools for user guides so that I can come up, again, I'm going to start with Pictory AI. If anybody else wants to try for user guides, a different one, that's great. Or if you have any other ideas, please create a slide and put it down there so that when we go through this next week, it'll be great. Does anybody have any questions before we end? Looking in the chat.
Yes, Bobby, I do have a question. Like,
Okay.
do we have to add a page which generates automated FAQs, like, or do we have to design the template?
Well, that's the thing. We have to figure out, which is where my head is a little spinning on, is where's this stuff going to live? Like, where is the frequently asked questions going to go? I mean, I'd love to see, again, on the homepage and all the onboarding pages, a library button. Right now there's a learn button, and I think there should be an AI bot on when you click learn for frequently asked questions. And I don't know what that AI tool looks like, but I know I'm not going to do what I've been doing for years and thinking up questions that people might ask and thinking up answers and typing them out, because we're not using AI for that. So if anyone can think of or has come across something that would help us do that, please make a slide and we'll work on it. Because frequently asked questions, I think, is a piece that we're going to supply, but it might be the last thing we do. Once everything else is in place to run a frequently asked thing. Oh, and I'm just reading the question in the chat from Musher. All I know right now is that the Hyperledger community paid tooling policy is with Make the Docs. So let me just show you that real quick somewhere. I have that.
Yeah.
So the Hyperledger community pays for Make the Docs and makes it available to everyone in the community. Where would that be? Pardon my scrolling on a shared screen, but I think it's down here. Yeah, so this is where you're coming in for these projects for the mentorship program.
Oh yeah, the second one, Bevel documentation redesign.
Yep.
If you can see.
Yep. And then here are the packages people in the community or projects in the community are currently using. And we do have a grid somewhere right here. So we went through in our analysis all of the community and what they're using, and we wrote it here. And we saw that it was so varied, and that the paid tooling policy. Make the docs, no. On the fly style guide, no. Oh, why can't I find what I'm looking for? I will send you a link.
On top, I saw like there were different theme names like Dockersaurus and everything. So is that the one you are referencing? Because I had a look at some Besu docs and they were made on Dockersaurus. It is basically
I
a
would
theme
have
name.
to check.
Yeah, here only in this Make the Docs, all these links are there, right? Dockersaurus,
Yes.
Make Doc.
Yes, but I think Hyperledger, and I'm not sure, I'd have to check, but I think this is the one that we pay to use. So there might be more features available if you use Make the Docs. But I will get back to you on that next week. I'm going to check with David Boswell.
Oh, yes, sure. Current one is on Sphinx, like, but if there is a paid tool which will give us additional advantage, then that would be great.
Yes, and I think it's Make the Docs, but I will get back to you next week with that answer.
Sure.
Oh, okay. And does anybody else have any more questions? If not, reach out to me to LinkedIn if you have any questions. Gianluca, we'll get together Friday. I'll see if Tracy's available so that we can talk about what her expectations are for this, because she, again, is the one who had been setting this up and was the one who suggested this task force to begin with. And we'll get that meeting done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody have a great week. Talk soon.
Thank you. You too. You
Bye.
too. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.